Tatokan rito itavi seroiana original Fijian yana rito varto mai ve vakamaro takituka ni vekianda na kavi ni Vakaraubuka ndendai ni kavitu ni singa ni vulo e pereli singa ni matitiko vekianda veketo e merika sange Vakaraubuka sal vakaro itiko vekimdo mai nonda vakambula tiko yani kiro vakambula tiko yani na veokani kiro mai veto mani tiko yani and nonda iwasi ni ngona vata na kavi ni Vakaraubuka ndendai me vakawa tiko ni tiko yani na isebu tiko ni nonda porokaramu vakamadhawa vakatoka itiko Vakailavo Ena Vakaraubuka. Nonda bulangin doka itiko ni kua o Brad Hamada en dua ke rawa sa dhaka vata tu en vida sarna en bake saoti ya o ko en dua beira na ronin daka en nona usutu ni nona dhaka ya na bivaka tabuli ditiko bikanda en buku ni Maroroilavo en nonda Maroroilavo en duana campaign ka sangi tiko buta ki tiko ngo e wakatoka i tiko na financial literacy. Osana vos tiko ni wakapapalangi. Thank you Brad for being with us this afternoon. I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you to our very first program, Financial Friday. And thank you for being available. Without further ado, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself. I've kind of shared a little bit about our relationship, that we go back a long way, and the floor is all yours.
Okay, great. Thank you. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear.
Fantastic. All right. So my name is Brad Hamada. I actually, I am part of an international financial literacy campaign, and it's been an amazing experience. But I started out. My background is actually engineering, so I'm kind of one of those problem-solving people that always like to find problems and solve them. And one of the things that I learned as I started out as an engineer was that there are a lot of engineering problems. But when I was introduced to this financial literacy campaign, I realized that there are a lot more people that have financial issues than engineering issues. And so I've been with the organization now over 18 years. So I did engineering for about 10 years. And then I've been with the campaign now for 18 years. I probably look a little bit younger than I am. But it's been an amazing experience. And I want to thank you for having me on so that we can share some ideas and insight for your listeners.
Thank you, Brad. I kind of shared a little bit with you earlier about our culture. Most of us grow up, we were not really taught the value of money. Yes, we grew up knowing what it's like to have money, right? But then also the mentality in our culture is we live for today. Tomorrow will take care of itself. But being here in the U.S., we have come to learn so much across the board, like in the Fijian community. And also, again, it's a cultural thing that it's so hard for us to save. But you and I both know that there's so much platforms available, platforms or vehicles, I would say, financial vehicles available, and that we are not aware of. Maybe we know the vehicle, but we don't know exactly how we can use it to save money for our retirement, for the rainy days, for emergencies, and things like that. And so I would like you to kind of elaborate a little bit on what this campaign is all about, the financial literacy campaign that you were talking about.
Okay, great. Yes. And, I know we talked about, about having a Finance Friday. And so definitely into the future, we're gonna get into other kinds of more in-depth topics and things that's really going to interest people. But, financial literacy, what I've found out about financial literacy is that it actually has very little to do with money. It has to do with, for me personally, it has to do with me taking care of my family. It has to do with being responsible so that I can send my daughter to college, so that I can build something that the next generation can build off of, and so that the next generation can be better off than me here in the U.S. Most people in the U.S., I would say, are immigrants. at some point. And so, that's what financial literacy is about. It's about like, what do you want with your life, and being able to build what you want from there. And I know that, I think just in general, people came to the U.S. looking for something better. But at the same time, I know that a lot of people do struggle financially. They call it the land of milk and honey. But when you get here, you realize that milk and honey is very expensive.
So
and
true.
But that's what it's about for me. It has I'm a numbers guy, but it has very little to do with numbers. When we educate someone, we're educating them because they want something better for their legacy. They want something better for the people they care about. And that's where financial literacy really starts.
Great. And I think more so for our community, most of us do caregiving. So we know also the importance of putting something aside for when you're not able to work, right? Because, who wants to work for the rest of their lives? And so that's also one of the things that I would like you moving forward, maybe sometimes in our future programs, to really break down for our listeners. Is there anything that you would want to say for now, like just because we're starting this program today?
A couple things. So for people that maybe you've been thinking about it, and then we kind of talk about it today, and you say, okay, maybe it's time to do something, or maybe you had never thought about it, and you said, wow, this is an interesting topic, or maybe you've tried something and it hasn't worked before. And so what I always encourage people to do, I kind of maybe three things to think about. So number one, I tell people, start now. And finances, like I said, it doesn't have so much to do with money, but it has a lot to do with your habits. And so I tell people, saving money is a habit, just like spending money is a habit. And so if you say, hey, Una, I want to commit to being more financially, to be smarter and to be more stable, I encourage you to start saving money immediately. Even if it's just like a little bit of money per month, you could save $3, $5, $10 a day, something like that, right? Maybe like the first 5 or 10 minutes of your day you can save for your future, and you start to build up on that, and you start to build up that habit. So I encourage everybody to start now to build that habit. But then also, I want you to know that it's not that hard to learn about how to take care of your family financially. I think there's a lot of misinformation that it's very difficult, that it's very complicated, that only people that are educated and have high degrees can do that, and I totally disagree with that. I tell you, anybody who cares about their family can learn about how to build a stronger financial foundation for them. And the third thing I want to say is take charge. Don't leave your situation in the hands of other people. I've talked with people before, and they've said, Brad, I don't need your education. I already have a financial guy that I work with. And you know what I found out? I asked, well, when was the last time you saw him? Oh, I haven't seen him in years. I said, then how do you know what he's doing, and how does he know how you're doing? Right? So, I tell people that just because you might have somebody who gives you advice doesn't mean that you don't have to have good financial habits. So financial education and financial literacy is something that we all need to be involved in, that should be a part of our communities, that we should be able to talk about openly, that we don't have to worry about being shamed because we don't have money. As long as we're starting to build something, you can build something for your future and for your next generation too. So, just some initial tips, and I'm looking forward to talking more about different topics and things that come up, and it's going to be exciting moving forward.
Great. So what would you say to someone that's listening in right now and budget is really tight? Brad is telling me they're talking about starting now. Like you could start from wherever you are. Start now. What would you tell them for someone with like a tight budget?
Okay. I think so there's two things that really govern our lifestyle. It's time and money, right? And so everybody's busy. Nobody has any time. And everybody's budget is tight. Nobody has any extra money. Yet somehow, some people are able to make it and some people don't.
Right.
So I think sometimes we have to look inside ourselves and say, what is my priority? Because sometimes people's budgets are tight because they eat out too much, right? And, if you can sacrifice eating out one meal a week, potentially you can put your family on a much better trajectory financially just with a few dollars. And so never discount the value of your money. What I tell people is, make the decision, number one, and then reach out to somebody that that can provide you resources. And then make sure that those resources include education for yourself, so that if something happens and you find yourself alone financially, you have the knowledge and the education to make good financial decisions. And if you need to, you can just rebuild everything overnight.
Mm-hmm. So would you say, Brad, for when we talk about money, when we talk about finances or financial advisors, number one, it's like, how can I even talk to a financial advisor? It's so expensive, right? That would be the mentality. And also like, I have to have so much money. I have to have this much money to be able to talk to a financial advisor. And then the other thing is I have to, okay, when you're talking finance literacy, you'd have to be very smart. I'm just throwing out the thought processes of like the majority of people. What would you say to that? Does someone have to be really smart and have a lot of money?
I would say that so number one, you don't have to have a lot of money. Number two, personally, I don't believe you have to be that smart. I sometimes, especially in today's culture, maybe education is a little bit overrated,
mm-hmm.
right? Having lots of degrees and stuff doesn't necessarily allow you to do the things you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about, where to start. So I always tell people, if you're interested in learning, right? Our campaign is open to everybody. So we would love to be able to provide you a basic education on finance. We'd love to have you as a part of our community to learn and be around people that are smart about their money, but yet are humble.
Mm-hmm.
We would love to be able to show you by example how you can start with saving, just a few dollars a day, and you start to build up that habit. And I call it an addiction, right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of bad addictions.
So true.
I tell people, I have an addiction. My addiction is saving money.
That's a great addiction.
That hasn't led me to anything else except prosperity and the ability to share with people my journey
mm-hmm.
And help people get to where they want to go as well.
Great. Just on a funny side, Brad, when you talked about school being overrated and having so many degrees, I'm just reminded of this friend that once said, and this was just this past week. He said, some of us, you're so concerned about having so many degrees. Like, just be careful. If you have too many degrees, then you'll get too cold. Just something on the fun side. Wanted to add to that. So I'm just going to go off in Fijian just for my Fijian listeners. Nimbula vinaktalin sema tiko mai. Dombula vinaka mai Santa Rosa mai Sacramento. Ker nga ke nisingay sema bo mai. Runingay wasiatok nga yani na nondato programo baka madhawa. Ngay mai rongodi tiko ngo na isewu ni nondato programo kanando rongodi tiko ane be Vakaraubuka. Baka toka tiko ya Vakailavo Ena Vakaraubuka. Kana lebusar na ka mendo mai buli da tiko membeleta na nonda rawa ni Vakaraubuka de sombek na ngona na so na rani sureti mai na buku ni ngoni saladava tali rani dan Vakailavo kina wakambi mini da mai tungo na vanu lebu Amerika ko wakambota talanga vi kimdona se matiko mai na ve matani tule lebu tali so senga talanga ni do wako itiko kino kimdo mai nonda na dona ka ko kilani da rabu beka kino wakalebu punga bekenda na itoke o ya na nonda rawa ni Vakailavo na wakasama mitiko menda Vakailavo koya au wakabinibina katiko kina. Thank you so much, Brad, for being available today and giving us a kickstart to our weekly program, our Financial Friday program. And I'm sure a lot of us stand to benefit from this. So, any last words before we round off today's program?
Like I said, just a quick recap. Start now. Build your habits. It's not complicated. You can learn for yourself. Don't leave it to somebody else. And if you don't have any financial resources or you're looking for some good financial resources, you can always reach out to Una, and Una can put you in touch with us, and we can talk about getting you on some workshops and getting you financially educated.
Thank you. Vakailavo bread o wambota ni sana roti kandoya na singa ni kua tikabu and singa mai tikabu tikongo ni sevu ni nonta programa Vakailavo Ena Vakaraubuka ka nangai dorongodi tiko. So every Friday bread or whenever you can come on, it'll be 6 o'clock, right? Just today is different. Ono na kaloko ena via kavini Vakaraubuka o yana ni tungo na California. Thank you so much, Brad, for joining us today. We look forward to our next session, hopefully next Friday. Until then, you have a good one.
You too. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone.